What's up, Go Mean Green and North Texas fans? I'm joined by a very special guest today, the Vice President, Director of Athletics, and the Pitmaster for the University of North Texas, Jared Mosley. How are you, sir?
Doing great, JD. There might be two or three pit masters. They may not let me lay claim to that one solo.
Hey, well, that's what I'm going with, and we're going to stick with it. So to get started, you got hired December 10th, and since then, North Texas has played for multiple conference championships, won an NIT. You've hired 5 new coaches, all while moving into a new conference. In the history of the NCAA, has any athletic director had a busier first 8 months in the job?
I'm sure there probably have been. I'll put it this way: I would not want to have had too many more things piled onto my plate, but extremely grateful. I do think there's certainly been a lot of excitement around just the opportunities we've had in these first 8 months, and I think to have a team in place, and I've touched on this, a couple of places, to have your leadership team who we've worked together for a while now and have a lot of familiarity and comfort there. Like having that core group intact was certainly helpful in being able to navigate a lot of the things thrown at us those first few months.
Just to talk about the 5 new hires just for a second. Eric Morris, new football coach. Jason Burton, new women's basketball. Ross Hodge, men's basketball. Luke Calcaterra, men's golf from North Alabama. And then Amanda Stone, tennis coach from Louisiana Tech. All 5 shared some similarities. They all had past success as head coach and regional ties to the Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana region. How major are those ties in the process in your hiring process, and what other factors do you kind of play in the hiring role?
I think every search is a little different, so I think you try to evaluate the program and get your profile in place based on where you feel the program is at that moment in time. I think for us, the one thing we found at North Texas, going back to the hires that Ren made, that we were a part of those processes, I do think there is a formula here that seems to work pretty well. And so, finding individuals who do have head coaching experience, I think is a plus. I think not that you couldn't have somebody come in and have success if they didn't have it, but I just think you do have a leg up when you've been through the fire, when you've had to make those, decisions in recruiting and building out a staff and establishing your culture. I think those are all very helpful. And I think for us too, to have somebody with regional ties, like I think regardless of sport, it's important for us to make sure that we recruit our backyard. There's too much talent in and around DFW and certainly in the state of Texas. And that's across every sport we have, that you want somebody who's going to do their due diligence to that's kind of the starting place for your rosters. And then you build out from there. And so, I think that's always a big one to me. And then, I touch on, you go through searches, you're assuming people have a certain level of competence in X's and O's. And I do spend some time looking at that, but I don't spend a lot of time worried about, philosophy and style and the things they do. It's really, are they as individuals going to fit into the culture we're trying to build here? Are they leaders who attract young talent and that student athletes love to play for? And, you build just what I think is really important. When you go through long seasons, you better have a group that enjoys being around each other. They enjoy their coaches. They respect their coaches. And so a lot of our time and energy goes in really trying to find fit, for the program and certainly our department. So that's not a comprehensive list by any means, but I think when you look at the top 3 or 4 things that, at least in my own approach to searches, that's typically what you're looking for. And I feel like we hit some home runs with all 5 of our hires this spring and summer.
So we're less than a month away. Start of football season. We'll get to see, it's a new era, new coach. We just mentioned that, new conference. This last week, y'all had a big announcement, new stadium name. How excited are you for the partnership with DATCU? What does it mean to have a strong community partner in Denton, a partner that actually started on the campus in North Texas? How important is that?
I think it's unique in a lot of ways. anytime you have individuals willing to come up and invest in your program at the level that DATCU did, like that in and of itself is significant. But I think, you look at their connection to our campus, the fact that their start was here on our campus, and I think one of the things for us we want to continue to emphasize is we want to be a bigger part of the Denton community. We want people to feel a connection between UNT athletics, and if you live in and around Denton or Denton County, that we're viewed as a part of the fabric of the community here. And I think to have DATCU come alongside, it gives us a lot of unique opportunities just with, they have 100,000 members. So that's a potential marketing arm for us. Just, we're not going to wear that out, but it's an audience that we now have access to in how we ticket and package and try to promote, and expand DATCU's presence. But in that, we get to provide benefits and, some unique things to their members. And so, I think it's a phenomenal opportunity for us, and look forward to stewarding that well and walking alongside them to be creative in how we maximize that relationship. And to be honest, I hope once we kind of establish that we can continue to see growth in new businesses coming to the Denton area and Denton community, and in ways that we can, serve patrons in this community better. And, it all starts here in our backyard, and we want people here to be excited about it and feel like we're going to have, again, some unique ways to do that in the years to come. But certainly fired up about DATCU and this opportunity, a 15-year commitment. It really gives us a lot of runway to do some creative things together, and to also have some stability on our revenue fronts that we're going to need as we grow into the American Athletic Conference.
Absolutely. As we talk about first game coming up, DATCU Stadium, California. Y'all announced the new stadium series, or the concert series, Mean Green Live. How did that come about? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
We've talked a lot just over the course of this summer. I mentioned in my press conference, I want to do everything I can to pull people into the fold of what we're trying to do. And there's a lot of ways people can do that. It can be, our routine people who show up to games and season tickets, those who make donations to the Mean Green Scholarship Fund. But one area we have not expanded has just been, how do we leverage concerts, events, other ways to utilize facilities in and around Apogee. And, the game day environment's an important piece of that. So we had a couple of committees that, as you're aware of, that gave us some great insight and advice on things we could try, and that might be able to move the needle a little bit for us, and trying to just gain greater attraction around, what happens in the stadium on game day. And so the idea of a concert series, we've done live music, but we really wanted to brand this, but then it's going to be a part of a bigger strategy to do additional concerts and things over the course of the year. And so it's not just these 6 games, although we've been intentional about trying to beef up and create an atmosphere that people want to get here early and socialize a little bit before we compete. But we will announce, hopefully, some additional concerts that tie into this overall umbrella of Mean Green Live.
Is there any other changes that fans can expect this fall when coming to the stadium? Is that stuff, will that be coming down the pipeline between now and September 2nd?
We'll do we typically like to announce some of the game day changes leading into the year, but we're bringing back the academy sports 5th quarter. We're going to allow fans on the field after the game. COVID kind of threw a wrench in that, and we didn't get back to it right out of the gate, but we're gonna do that. You're gonna see, when you enter into Apogee, we're trying to focus and have customer service kiosks just for people that may be new or have questions when they arrive, or they don't know where to go. Just ways we can better serve people coming to a game to help them get answers. We're going to have water stations those first few games when it's extremely hot, where people can refill water bottles, enhanced concessions, and under the pub wing options and liquor sales. In game is going to look a little different. When you have ESPN Productions now, our in-house camera crews, we can do a little bit more with fan engagement. So we've got a new DJ. We've got different fan filters we're going to do throughout the game that I think people enjoy and love. And then going back to even, some of the tailgate stuff, we're trying to create a little beer garden around the concert area there in the circle, out there in the tailgate area. You're going to see additional food and vendor options out there. DATCU's got a really cool concept that they're going to have as a part of our partnership with them that I think is going to enhance just the look and feel and options for people visiting pregame. So we've got a number of things that we're working on and excited to announce, and hopefully when fans show up, they do notice a difference and an elevated experience when they come, because our goal is to get people here early so we're not having to fight the parking challenges we have at DATCU Stadium, but to also provide something that people really enjoy coming out to before the Mean Green kickoff each week.
And like I said, I want to give a shout out to the athletic department. You mentioned the committee, the game day experience committee. Like, you guys are looking for fan feedback, and shout out to you guys. I think that's a very exciting future moving forward. Talking about major announcements, y'all announced this week, y'all added 6 new games, one game with Tarleton and another game with Northern Alabama. And then you added a home and home with San Jose State and Western Michigan. What all goes into the scheduled opponents, and what is your scheduling philosophy when it comes to scheduling these games?
That's a great question, and I think one of the things I will say is scheduling games is challenging because you schedule so far in advance. So for us right now, I think we're pretty well scheduled out into the early 2030s. And so we're just now getting ready to kick the 2023 season, and we already are full. But if you rewind to when we got here 7 years ago, we overhauled our schedule pretty significantly to do a couple of things. One, we wanted to move to a philosophy that we were not playing money games, but we were trying to at least schedule a home and home with Power Fives any chance we can get. And so we had to unwind a lot of series. We had to shuffle some games all over the place to accommodate that, but feel like we finally got to a place, when you look at our games with Cal, and we've got Texas Tech and Baylor and Missouri and Colorado, we've had some pretty good success being able to land home and homes with a Power Five. I think for us, the next goal is then you want to try to fill 2 of those dates with group of fives, probably one. It's hard to say this, but one that you feel pretty good you can go in and get a win. Another one that's a little more of a challenging game that is going to push your team a little bit. And then, to be honest, and I know fans don't get excited about some of the FCS games, but the reality of it is where we are at, we need to do everything we can to position us for access to a bowl. And as our program grows and we continue to build and we get consistency, like that is an area where we could look at filling that with another group of 5 game that makes sense. But until then, it's important for us to make sure that we're preparing. And I'll be honest, until we kind of see where this era of the transfer portal and NIL, if you have a lot of roster turnover, you don't want to just crush every year with the most, over the top crazy schedule, because you need to build in opportunities for your team to get reps and to get some experience together before they go into the thick of what's going to be a really good conference schedule. And so we feel our American Athletic Conference schedule is going to be strong enough throughout that if we continue to follow the P5, 2 group of 5s and get that, FCS opponent, that's a model that's going to serve us well. We'll always look at how we adjust, but one of the things we try not to do is book those FCS games too far in advance. And for the most part, we try to get some that are, fairly more in the region. We're not out, bringing teams in from, the Northeast or the West Coast just to capitalize on some them bringing fans and more people exposure to DATCU Stadium in Denton. But that's a little bit that goes into the scheduling. I think when you look at what we've been able to do over the past 7 years to get us into the schedule we now have for the next 8 to 10, it's been very intentional. It's been a lot of work. It's a lot of moving pieces. And yeah, I think the other thing I hear fans sometimes mention is frustration about whether we start home or away. And that really doesn't matter because it comes down to the sequence of how many home games do you have in a year versus, the spots you have open, and you're trying to balance home and away games. And so I don't worry too much. We have buyouts in those contracts for a reason, so that if somebody on the back end decides they don't want to play us, we're going to get paid regardless. So I don't get too hung up on, whether we're starting a series home or away, and that really doesn't matter because it's really a function of what the schedule dictates we need more than anything.
Yeah, it's a really hard process to make every fan happy in regards to, winnable game, high-end opponent, fun road trip on the back end or front end. So it's a job that I would not want. But another factor, and I'm not going to ask for a prediction where it's going to end, but it's been the talk of college football the last, I guess I would say probably the last year, but conference realignment. We were part of it. We just moved to the new American. Are you tired of hearing about it, or do you think this is the new age of college football where college football teams are technically going to be able to jump in the portal themselves, or do you think there's the end game that we'll eventually teams will get in place and stick it out for a while?
That's a great question. I mean, it feels like a lot to us, but if you go back over the course of, NCAA history, like realignment's not something that's new. And I mean, it's always occurred, and, the rate and volumes maybe not been the same, but I do think, you're always trying to position your program for the best opportunity possible. And, for us to have this opportunity moving into the American significant, and I think it positions UNT well for if there is another opportunity down the road. I can't control who that might be or where it might come from. But if we attack our plan to build the best UNT athletic program in the American Athletic Conference, I think it's proven those teams that do that well are going to be able to capitalize on opportunities in the future. And so our head's down right now trying to focus on how do we continue to stick to our plan here, elevate our programs to the top third as fast as we can, to get more people engaged, which is a big part of that equation when you're looking at what's dictating these decisions. It's TV money, it's TV dollars, it's exposure. And so the best way to position yourselves to add value in that equation. And so, that's why we're talking a lot about, growing ticket sales and season ticket numbers and Mean Green Scholarship Fund numbers. Like that's all really, in my opinion, the one of the biggest next steps for UNT to take is to try to build that broad base of support that then becomes a part of your equation when opportunity does arise. But, I think the interesting part, all of us wonder is just, I think the realignment will always be a part of it, but at some point with linear TV functioning the way that it does today, you just wonder where's that point when they just don't have any more resources to put back into that funnel, and or what's the next line of opportunity gonna be, outside of linear broadcast, which, we all dip our toes in the digital side of things as well. So, it's really trying to figure out, again, just where we position UNT in managing the things that we can control and being ready when opportunity may knock down the road.
So I know you mentioned about fan support. In your opinion, what are the best ways that fans and supporters can help? Is it buying additional season tickets? Is it joining the Mean Green Scholarship Fund? Bringing fans. What, in your opinion, would be the best for an average North Texas fan to help in the biggest way possible?
I think yes to everything you said there, and then any ways that people feel a connection or passion, it helps. So I would say the two probably the easiest things. I think being a member of the Mean Green Scholarship Fund is significant. We have roughly $6 million scholarship bill that we pay on behalf of our student athletes here every year. And until we are raising $6 million there to completely offset that, that's an ongoing need that we're going to fund. And so anytime we can build support for scholarships that allows us to reinvest dollars in other areas, it helps the program. Season tickets are one, because once you bought a season ticket, that counts every game in our numbers, whether you show up or not. Now, we love for fans to expose friends. If you can't use them, give them to somebody who can, so we have somebody there. But I think that one, people don't always understand the connection. For us, it's a huge piece in our budgeting ability, is when we know that a season ticket base can roughly be X, we're not having to guess, are we going to hit our number or not? And so as that grows, it helps us build a little more advanced budget model for our programs. And then I think anytime you can buy, for fans who are out of town, maybe in some of these new markets, just buying a ticket and coming out support, showing up to tailgates, showing up to caravan events in the summer, bringing friends. Like I think that's probably the one area that I don't know any way to re-engage people who have been disconnected other than trying to get them to see it in person, or to meet a coach, or to meet one of us and let us share why we're excited about North Texas. And I think our fans and those who have been loyal to UNT probably do as good a job as any of sharing, why they continue to do what they do in helping us build this program. And so I think if all of us took on a challenge to target 5 to 10 of our UNT friends we know that aren't engaged, and see how we can get them plugged in one of those ways, we'll move the needle pretty quick in the direction we need it to go.
Two of the things that I feel like you are doing very well as an athletic department is you are, going after the city of Denton, but also I feel like the whole athletic department as a whole is very active on social media and super open with dialogue with North Texas fans. Whether it's, I saw earlier today a fan yelling at Ryan Peake because he wanted a hat, and then another fan yelling because the ESPN had the logo wrong. But how important and how much emphasis is put on that as an athletic department to keep that open dialogue with fans?
I think having open lines of communication are important. For some of our coaches and staff, that's not necessarily the easiest thing to do on social, just being honest. I try not to engage in every battle on social media, but I do think whenever you can provide context, one of the things that is difficult, and I'll say it's hard in the social media day and age, is any information that gets out on social is taken as truth and fact, and it may be way out of context. And so, one of the things for us is we've got to strategically navigate those things that ultimately hurt us or take us away from our goal. If somebody's focused on something, but they don't have the background on maybe why things are the way they are, or how we're working to address things. And so we try to be proactive in our approach. I also want fans. They've made an investment in our program. They make an investment in our student athletes and the type of experience we deliver. If they're making an investment, I owe that to people to listen and to make sure that we're not just out here operating, on an island, oblivious to what people's opinions and concerns or challenges they're facing are. So, do we get it right 100% of the time? We do not. But I want people to know we do take every one of those serious in our desire to try to improve and get better than we were the day prior or the year prior is a high priority for us. And so, we want to be engaging with fans, and more than anything, I want fans to understand in some of these areas when we can the right amount of context, because in some cases, the world of college athletics, there are reasons certain things happen the way they do. And not that it needs to become an obstacle or a hurdle, but it may change people's perspective in how we're trying to move things forward to address some of those concerns. But it's always fun to be able to engage people, especially when they appreciate the opportunity to get some feedback.
It is very tempting to use that mute button sometimes as well. Last question in regards to North Texas athletics. What is the biggest fundraising priority right now? and what is the importance of the athletic center expansion?
Yeah, I'm going to go down for the next couple years till we get both of these things done. Like the two greatest single greatest areas of fundraising need are just getting engagement with the Mean Green Scholarship Fund, but certainly the athletic center expansion. And I think for us, we're in a building that's 18 years old. It has served us well, and had we not had the foresight when Rick Villarreal and that his team had the vision for the stadium and this facility we're in, like, we would not have this opportunity in the American today. So it has served us tremendously well in the amount of time, but we deliver athletics differently. Support for student athletes has changed significantly in the last 18 years. When you look at nutrition field, a nutrition department didn't exist 18 years ago when this building was put in place. The size of staffs, just from a football standpoint, have grown significantly. You look at how we deliver academic support. You look at how sports medicine has changed. You look at how strength and conditioning is drastically changed in 18 years. Like, it just requires more space to us to do the things we need to do with student athletes and to provide the level of experience. And so, we need to raise $20 million as quick as possible to begin this project. I tell people all the time, we've got a contingent that wants other sports, added to the mix. And really, we can't do that until we have more space to fit and serve the student athletes we've got. We're behind with what we have. And so to add 20, 30, 50, 70 more student athletes into an already, too small space, it just doesn't make sense. And not for the type of program we want, which is to serve and give all of our student athletes the best experience possible. And so, that one we're excited about. We're making some progress. But it's really important that we find individuals willing to come alongside us, because this will really be the catalyst, in my opinion, for any future growth and expansion opportunities we do have. This has got to be the first step. And so I just wrapped up an hour-and-a-half meeting with our development staff today to talk about, from now till the end of the year, what's our plan to keep moving forward and chipping away. So hopefully we can get a few people to step up and be a part of this legacy and keep the Mean Green moving forward.
And if a fan wants to donate or give to that, what's the best route? What's the best avenue for them to go about it?
I think reaching out to Ryan Peck, Carl Evans, myself, anybody on our development and fundraising team, we're happy to do that. We've done a number of presentations, so if people want to actually see what we have planned and renderings of the venue and let us talk them through what's going to change, like, we're happy to do that. But feedback's been great for those that we've already been able to present to, and we'll just continue to chip away with presentations until we get to that $20 million goal.
Sure. And I can't let you go, since, like I said, I've named you the Pitmaster of North Texas. Anything this summer? Have you tried any new techniques? Anything that's worked out well or hasn't worked out well that you can pass along to the Mean Green faithful?
I mean, I did try out the Davis Farms brisket, which turned out really good. I know you were a little nervous that I might mess that one up, but it came through. It was solid. So I think I don't know that I've tried anything new. I'm kind of a creature of habit. Once I get into something that works pretty well, I'm not going to tinker with the secret sauce too much. But we've done a handful of briskets. We've done some poppers. We've done some smoked queso. Like, I'm down for anything if we can roll some smoke.
I've learned as a beef producer that when somebody cooks something, grills something, smokes something, if it's bad, it was bad meat. If it was great, it was all the cook. It was all the pitmaster. So I completely understand. I'll give you all the credit for the good brisket. But
hey, I will say, so I mean, the quality of what you're throwing on there first better be right, and yours was great. So if I put a plug in for you, if people are wanting good quality beef, they just need to ask you how to get it.
Well, I appreciate it. And like I said, thank you for the time. Thank you for jumping on. Hopefully we can get you back on soon once the season gets kicked off, September 2nd, California, DATCU Stadium. Thank you, Mosley.
I appreciate it. Thanks, JD.
Thank you, sir.
game. It's right here for you.
That's football, guys.
Go Mean Green.